What's up, everybody? I'm Yogi Chris, PhD, founder of Ninth Limb Yoga. And here, the guy at Base One that manages these events, we just finished an incredible event called the Mating Matrix. And by we, I mean Arash. And I taught 1 hour. So I guess that's me. We finished the Mating Matrix. Fernando, who's a monk here, one of the guardians at the base. We've had him on this show a bunch of times. A bunch of you know who he is. But we're going to get his take on things because I know you're thinking that I'm just building things up. I'm just making it up, making it sound better than it really is. Fernando's a straight shooter. He'll give it to you straight. He doesn't fuck around. He's like a mob boss, man. He doesn't need to sugarcoat anything because he's completely safe saying whatever he wants. So you know he's going to give it to you true. And that's why I brought him on the show here. Plus, he, like me, was profoundly impacted by this event, although I don't really know how or why. So I actually want to talk to him about it. And you'll get some of my take on it too. As always, subscribe to the channel as you see this video, wherever you are. Maybe it's the audio on Spotify or whatever. Sign up for the newsletter, get the notes, very valuable notes, the emails. It's not spam, it's notes. You get really powerful information. And then you can see, what all is happening here at the base. So without further ado, my temple mate monk, shape-shifting IMC warrior fighting monk, the real deal realtor, Fernando Caro. What's up? Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, brother. Thank you. That was very profound, very well said. But expected nothing less than a PhD yogi, right? Should be at ease and in a state of surrender, And so, yeah, as you mentioned, this last weekend we were privileged to host, or AZD host, an event called the Mating Matrix here at the Base One 408 Temple. For those of you who are watching now. I can say from my experience and, the teachings that are coming to me right now, let's see. A lot of the times I've been coming to AZD's events consistently for, I want to say almost 3 years now. Yeah, 3 years since 2018. And this was a very, very liberating, very opening, a very, I felt as if chains were dropped, and it happens almost every time. Every event, there's always a chain that's dropped, and this one, a huge one, was dropped. A lot of the inner tension that we carry on a daily basis, whether let's say you're dealing with your businesses or you're dealing with your relationships. This is called the Mating Matrix, and really dissolving a lot of the illusions that we live with. When I say illusions of the mind. Understandings that trap us. And so some of the teachings, not to go so deep into the teachings, but through the conversation in this event, a lot of what was once trapping me in my mind, I was able to see outside of myself and recognize, wait, hold on, that's just a thought that I'm perceiving as something that's real. For example, let's give an example. Anytime I felt myself become tense inside, whether it was, let's say, going on a podcast, oh shit, what am I going to say? What is this topic about? Or even the setup and the timing of it, just surrender. Surrender to whatever the fuck your mind is trying to fix. Your mind is always trying to fix and solve some sort of problem in your life. That's what it's meant to do. But I learned to just surrender. Surrender to what? Surrender to a fucking apple? Surrender to cucumber? No, surrender to life. Surrender to the moment. Surrender to God if you want to go that deep. That was one of the teachings, surrender to God. And that one was just like, wow, I'm God's son. God, when you're in the darkest moments of your life, this is the great time to say, God, I'm your son. I surrender to whatever's going on. And I mean, I can keep going on about these topics, but I mean, there was just so many profound moments, so many profound realizations that have taken place this weekend, and I'm still processing and allowing the changes to naturally just hit, and I've learned that this is the secret to this art, the secret to studying alongside AZD is that I don't have to do anything. It's going to do it what it does. And when I say that, it's the teachings, the knowledge, and the application of such.
That's true. And I want to add, or even ask, like, although it's kind of, maybe it's kind of obvious, but I know this from pickup events because it was like straight up skills, like you would learn sound bites and openers and gambits and whatever, that if you don't practice it when you go home, you lose it. Even if you're profoundly impacted by the event and 10 years later, you were so profoundly impacted by that event, you're still talking about it. But so things take care of themselves, but how important, like, is there a way to facilitate it, or is all things, because that would just, like, you know, pay the money, show up as receptive as you can be. That's how much you'll get. And then, you know, put it into practice. How much you put it into practice, that's how much you'll integrate. And, you know, I could probably use more of that, of relaxing into it, letting it happen. You know, it's just real interesting, you know, the processing and letting it happen. I think, you know, guys come into it, and sometimes this is like one of those, I don't even know if it's an objection or whatever, but they'll say, you know, they'll recognize or acknowledge at some point, I'll probably have to do multiple events. It's not going to be a one event thing. Like, I'll have to keep doing events. And that's their objection to getting started, because they know it's going to be, I'm looking at $1,000 a month, basically. This isn't $100 a month program that you're saying, you know? And when does the transformation end? I don't know. Like, it just keeps going. The evolution continues. As long as he's ahead of me, I just keep following, because I'm ahead of people and I keep leading. And so it just makes sense to keep going, you know, and allowing it to process. You know, when you say it like that, when you say, like, just allowing it to process, it's almost like there's nothing to talk about, really. It's just, it's all going to process as it does. And you can gauge my evolution based on, you know, listening to me and how I change. So the end. That's the end of the show, guys. Thank you. The powerful event.
Nothing to talk about.
I don't know. What else is there to say about it? You know, did you, what would I be curious about Fernando Caro's experience? Or,
I mean, we can,
you know, what did you see in the guys? Did you see any difference in the guys this time? Either, you know, how they entered, the group of guys that came in, or how they were affected. Did you know anything stand out? What stood out to you about the weekend?
Man, one thing that is notable in my mind right now, just seeing the faces of the guys and having conversations with them, a lot of, again, back to the understanding that I noticed through the conversations with the guys that a lot of them started to drop these chains as well. When I say chains, is these ideas that keep us bound in whatever it is, whether it's in the art of mating, if we want to call it an art, or, you know, in communication, or in relationships, or in business. We have certain, I guess, limiting beliefs. And through this experience of life, you know, I don't know what each day is going to bring me, but it brings me something that, even if I did nothing, it's going to deliver something for sure. And I don't know, what I noticed from these guys is, I noticed that a lot of them were shedding a lot of that inner tension that they carried inside. For example, I won't say any names, but they were saying, like, man, I didn't realize how much anger and resentment I carried inside of me. Mind blown. Changed, liberated to whatever experience he was experiencing. Now I can speak for the guys. Now, I mean, what would you share about that? I mean, through the conversations, it seemed like a lot of people were impacted on this event, or anybody who attended this event, really.
Yeah. Well, as I think about the guys that were here, I mean, Joey House really stands out, both for his contribution, and he's a unique attendee, because he's not really involved too much in IMC. He's known because he's Metarosh, and he's known through the fighting community and personal development. He does other stuff. He did Tony Robbins stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's known. And obviously he's Wim Hof, he's certified, so he's official in that and stuff. But I think being an outsider coming in, even though he knew AZD, he'd only been to a couple lectures here and there down in Los Angeles. So his transformation, I think it was very interesting. It seemed as if he was not expecting how he was going to change like that. If I could put it that way, I think nobody expects the change that they get, because that's kind of, I mean, if you knew how you're going to, like, you would just find it yourself. Like, it's going to be unknown. It seemed almost like, I don't know. It was great to see, because he was a high level communicator. You know, he knew words and he knew processes for the mind with Tony Robbins, and this other guy does, I forget, like Michael Sees, I think is the guy's name. I don't know. And so he had understandings, but it was very cool. Actually, for me, this is like a self-testimony really, is because through the philosophies that AZD is given, he's worked out a lot of these, you could say a lot of the ideas of other people and other leaders, they'll contradict at some point as you get higher and you try to blend them. They don't all jive together, especially when you try to jive them with the science of mating. And you'll also find that there'll be simple contradictions simply because people don't define their words in ways that are mutually exclusive. So people will use the same words to mean different things, and then the teachings get muddied when you try to cross teachers from teacher to teacher. AZD is so cool because he follows L. Ron Hubbard, which, as far as I've researched L. Ron Hubbard, it's fucking genius, whatever I read, and it's just really amazing. It brings a lot of clarity. But supposedly it's all built on this, like, you know, words are like, you know, grammar's like mathematics, words are like numbers, and, you know, everything is pretty discrete, actually, if you want to be precise about it. Now, if you want to be cool, you're not going to be all precise with your language when you're out. But when it comes to understanding the mind and actual communication when it's important, it was very cool, because as I'm hearing Joey talk, I was able to straighten out actually a couple things through communication, and I leveled up because I didn't correct him. I also messed up a couple times in myself where I had to reflect on myself. It was really cool because Joey was my age. We're the same graduating class. I'm 34, he's 34. And, you know, it was a really cool collaborative thing. So I saw him change. I changed through it. I was actually hella emotionally disturbed, if you could use that word. I get triggered like 5 or 6 times throughout the weekend, just all upset, all sour-faced, all having to flex my facial muscles to counteract the sour face I was experiencing. Because honestly, I think a lot of guys were going through that. And that's, I messaged somebody this morning. I was like, that's me maturing. I'm maturing. I'm sour faced because I'm seeing where I went wrong on a bunch of things in my life. You know, as he's giving better teachings, I'm like, man, I wish I'd known that then. And so it's just recalling all of my mistakes. And that's why I'm sour faced about it. I'm looking around at some point, because I can't really look AZD in the face because I'm all sour-faced. And I'm looking around and a bunch of people in the room are sour-faced. And I'm like, oh, hell no, I can't be sour-faced too, because he's up there smiling, just hanging out with his girlfriends, lecturing to them, coming out here, lecturing to a room of sour-faced guys that are all triggered by, you know, his confidence or whatever. And I mean, maybe you weren't, but I went through these things. And like you said, through experience, it's just like, man, I know I'm going to be stronger after this. Like, I'm in a safe space to feel this hurt. I was surrendering during the lectures, you know, and, you know, as far as the guys, you know, besides Joey, you know, it was really cool to see Floyd. That's really the new guys. Floyd was new guy. The other guys, they changed kind of as expected. I would say they just were leveling up, and it's like once you're on the ladder of, you know, climb the ascent or whatever, you can kind of see where other people are because you've been there. And so you see them coming up and you kind of gauge it. But the new guys, you don't always know because you don't know their starting point and, you know, what all background information they have. So it's really cool to see the lines get made where things start to make sense for them. And that's what happened between me and Joey in conversation. I didn't converse too much with Floyd, but I saw him change. And so, yeah, that's what I saw in the guys, right?
Right on. Yeah, man. I mean, everybody was impacted without a doubt. I mean, that's what these events do. That's what this event is, or these events are about, man. It's continuous evolution, continuous change. And it's only one datum that could change the course of one's life, really. It's just a thought. Everything that we live with is just down to one thought, one action, one decision, right? And sometimes we don't even realize the thoughts that are burdening us away from what's possible. So you know, when I came into this community of IMC, I didn't know what I was coming for, but I knew that every time I was coming, I was continuously leveling up in all arenas of my life, really. And it came down to communication, my ability to express myself comfortably, authentically, and how that impacts everything, right? Is our expression and our communication to the world. Now, in this event, I found a new level of release inside of me, less tension. And that's still the continuous practice every day is, where is there tension in my life? Where am I resisting my life? Because right there is the clue of where there's chains, where I'm still trapped, where I'm still confined. And I truly believe that's what we're here to do every day, is to really find where the fuck we're being bound, and to really get rid of that shit. Just drop it, surrender it. What I surrender, I no longer hold on to. I don't want any of it. Let me just drop these things. And you won't see it until you're in that moment, until the chick is giving you shit tests and she's challenging you, being very confrontational. And in your mind, you're trying to defend a little ego or a little identity. When we get triggered, we're trying to hold our position. Well, what a great opportunity to surrender in that moment. Fuck, I wouldn't have known that if I didn't have the practice or the teaching.
Yeah, as you're talking, I'm seeing how much that was emphasized through the weekend, because, you know, truly that's what the mentorship was. But the mentorship was his first run through the surrender experiment. So he's gone through a cycle of teachings. Like, this is maybe his third iteration going through the surrender experiment. Each time gets a little quicker, actually, just like runs, you know, the first time was like 2 years of just, that's all he talked about. And, but I actually didn't read the book, and I didn't read Untethered Soul. And, so when I actually got the Untethered Soul, it made so much sense, because obviously I've been listening to like 200 lectures on it. And, but then this, you know, that's what the guys, as I follow up with them, they're like, man, I'm just like surrendering. And like, I'm just like, I didn't realize that I was hypnotized. Actually, on Sunday, I said to everybody, I'm like, I think we're all in a trance, because it was difficult to start acknowledging people, like when they were talking, like but I knew it was a trance. And I guess I missed that. I missed the emphasis of that, because I was like totally just surrendered in the moment. I you know, so yeah, man, surrender and that tension, and that, it was great.
Another key datum that sticks out to me is turning that judgment lens inside. That when I look inside, instead of judging the outside, instead of judging her for all her bullshit, judging, let's say you're with a client and judging all their fucking, all their limiting beliefs, all their fucking objections, instead of judging that, let me judge inside. Where am I being tense?
Mm-hmm.
Where am I being tense in those moments? Because right there, I have that control to say, fuck that. I'm not going to be the effect of their communication. I'm going to be very comfortable and relaxed and surrender right here, right now. Because I'll recognize that if I just let that machine process, when I say machine, when I let that person who's not aware of their mind emoting, I can allow them to just express that emotion without having to engage with it. And before you know it, the effect is they'll realize how nuts they are when they're communicating. They'll just shut up. They'll realize, well, what the fuck was I saying? How many times do we continue to go on, not seeing the cause of our bullshit, the cause of our emotions, and expressing that? Well, I mean, this practice, I'm seeing it, I'm living it, and I can just report back on it from the experiences that I've had since then and today and so forth.
For sure. This is profound. Quick latch, come to Zoom and join the Lions Den, brother. For sure. Awesome. Well, do we have any, this is opportunity, audience members, guys in the audience, if you got any comments or questions for Fernando or the camp or anything like that, now's a good time. And yeah, you know, all things leveling up. You know, it's the state of mind that you bring to your own life. So your own life levels up. So whatever you're into, it just levels up. You know, it's amazing. State of mind, you know, positivity, language, noticing the tension, the resistance. We need a bunch of synonyms for this word, you know.
Totally. And just being okay with whatever life gives you, man. Look, that's a morphati, perfect stoic practice. Is look, whether it goes through or it doesn't, internally, you're going to be okay. Just know that shit. Just know that you're going to be okay no matter what life brings you. The outside's going to test you. The outside's going to challenge you. That's what it's for. To test what you're about. As you continue to level up, there's going to be something new, a new opponent, a new fucking dragon that needs to be slayed in whatever manifestation of your life. Those monsters in your mind, those ideas, they're just big monsters in your mind because you made them big monsters. What if you just surrendered that and looked at yourself as the big monster? Fuck that. What if I could do that? I know I can. We all can.
And see, this is really good wisdom, especially as the yoga studios open up, and I know you're going to be going to Bikram yoga.
Oh, man.
This is the wisdom that will make you far advanced to other yogis as you practice yoga. There's a real tangibility to actually practicing yoga. You can only have so much ideas about it, and then when you go into the hot room, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But as you do the hot practice like 5, 10, 15 times, combined with these how you're talking, man, that's what you'll go so deep, so far in that yoga
practice.
Man.
I feel it. I can feel it inside me. Seeing those poses and then the heat and all the resistance around in the environment and the mind continuing to chatter and just seeing the mind in those moments. That's really the ability to see the mind. And because when you don't see it, you're it. So to see the tension in the heart or in the body, because when you don't see it, you're it. Or you are it. Your awareness is somewhere else, so you're functioning from it. Like it is your beingness. So the you could call it detachment or whatever, like that ability to see insight. I was looking at this word earlier. I was like outlook. I was texting it to someone and I couldn't decide if I was going to separate it into 2 words, outlook, or 1 word, because it is 1 word. And I was like, inlook. Why isn't that a word? Inlook. Oh, it's because we have this word insight, outlook and insight. That was just what I was playing with earlier in my mind. All right. So anything from have I been muted this whole time, or did I just tap it? No, you just did it right now.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Here, base 1. Everybody should know I almost beat Fernando in basketball yesterday. It's very close. And there's only minimal fouling. Very minimal. Enough to pass because I don't play basketball. I get the pass. All right. Well, that's about it. If I was going to continue the show on my own, who knows what I would talk about? Probably I'll just field questions about it. There's guys on that should be attending these that I think they're in the Lions Den. Matthew Eller, people are going to be coming to the next Beast Camp. Jonathan Ranger and Shamir coming to the next Beast Camp. Quick Latch should be on Lions Den. It's very powerful philosophy. A lot of, one of the things with this philosophy stuff that we get, the higher wisdom, is that sometimes it's not especially useful until a life situation comes up that you use it. And so let's say you don't have a girlfriend and you're getting advice from a guy that has multiple girlfriends. Sometimes the advice, you're like, fuck, it makes sense. I need someone to apply it with or whatever. But it's setting yourself up for a lot of success because you will grow into your power. You will accumulate as you get clarity on your direction. You accumulate value in that direction. And so then you'll have leverage over your universe around you. And when you have the wisdom for how to lead, it'll be invaluable. And when you don't, that's when it's also invaluable. And you'll be like, fuck, man, I wish I knew. I'm in a situation I don't know, and you'll seek it out and it won't come fast enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't realize what you need until the time is it, and at the same time, you don't realize what you have until it's the time to know that you have it, right? And that's where the experience of life is. And the faster you can start to experience life in all arenas, not afraid of it, not afraid of your life, not afraid of, let's say, being in a relationship, or afraid of anything, starting your business, afraid of going to an event that's going to cost you money. Fuck, it's scary to invest money in yourself. Why? Why is it scary though? You see how it's just a bullshit thought in your mind? It's just, these are just thoughts. Drop the mind. And how about let's just start living this thing? And the sooner I can get to the living, the sooner I can get to the teachings. And if you're a dedicated student, a philosopher, one who loves wisdom, as you continue to evolve in your process of receiving the tech, the AZD experiences, if you're on this process, then my friends, you're on the path, you're on the lineage of having these similar experiences, but in your own universe, in your world, and how you experience. As Arash shared from Manu to Arash to us, is how will you do it? Not how they did it, how will you do it? How will you be the next version of the teaching? How will you be the evolution of AZD's process? How will you bring, what will you bring to the arena of life when you show up and in everything that you do? And that's a question I like to ask myself, and continuing to push the needle forward and really live this fucking life to see what I'm about. I'm more curious to know what's capable within me than anybody else. I'm more inspired to find out.
I think that's really a takeaway that it comes from all the events is you start to appreciate your own potential, your ability to create. You have so many more tools to get out of your own way. Mm-hmm. And especially this last event was a lot of getting out of your own way. The next event is going to be influencing your environment. So once you're out of your way, now you need the tech for arranging, rearranging, and aligning your world to your whim and your will. And the tools to do that. All along the way, of course, is the underlying philosophies, the stoicism and ethics. But you don't want to, just be liberated and have no ability to influence your environment. Congratulations, you're so free and liberated, but like that doesn't help me or anybody at all if you can't influence your environment. So, but if you influence your environment, but you got a little self-awareness, then you're just going to be influencing based on patterns of how you were raised and whatever patterns are your identity. And so you just create a bunch of duplicates of you, and good luck. So with that, any closing thoughts or words? The audience is pretty silent, so we'll just kind of wrap it up. Or if anybody's got anything burning, you could raise your hand or type it out. Anything from you, Fernando?
Let's see. I mean, through conversation, a lot of new ideas, cognitions happened, and it's just exciting to continue to communicate over these topics and to keep them alive. I know that the more you communicate about the things that are life impacting, the more conversation, and it's something you've always said, especially after events, you're like, the more we talk about it, the more we access these teachings. And that's just the truth of anything, is the more you talk about anything you want, the more it's available, the more it's accessible. And that's what these free lectures, these free podcasts, that's the premise of it. It's the aim of it, is to continuously push communication on these ideas and evolve from them, evolve in our experience of these ideas. And so, that's all I got to say as closing words.
Yeah, and that's very interesting, the talking, because that's kind of how we started, just, relax, let it process, it'll take care of itself. And yet somehow, if we talk more about it right afterwards, we can push it further. We can push that processing deeper and broaden it. And that's some of the most powerful things, you don't maybe realize as much. Because when I first met you was Evolution of Consciousness or whatever. And then like 4 or 5 months later was Tabiat. And then from then on, it was an event where you're staying overnight with IMC brothers. That wasn't like it for years when I was coming up. There was not interaction with other IMC guys outside of the event. Everybody went their own ways. And now, since June, really, since June, because we started Airbnb together, now guys that come live have the opportunity to carry the dialogue deep into the night right after the event, because they're staying with other IMC brothers, or they're staying residency here at the base, because we have a base, we have a temple. And the opportunity to, absorb the vibe and absorb the information and the philosophy and the lifestyle is unprecedented. And not only were the teachings unavailable anywhere else on the planet, as far as I'm aware. I mean, I have the internet just like you. If you find it, I mean, you're here probably because you haven't found it anywhere else. And whatever, those other communities, I'm tapping into them. I'm going to be doing guest shows with them on my other podcast, and we'll see. I'll test them. It's going to be fun. And so not only was it already, the information was already not available, but now it's like intimately available until it's not. And that can happen. Just the other day, our friend Dreamy, rest his soul, or wherever it went, we talked to him that morning. You just never know. It's just a regular car accident. He wasn't even on drugs or anything. He was detoxing on juice fasting. Sounds similar, right? So get it while it's hot. All right, everybody. Thank you sincerely, my friend Fernando Caro. And I'll see you all next time. Os.
Thank you.